right, I think we can start. People will be joining in the next couple of minutes, but I think it's better that we start because we are on quite a tight schedule today with lots of information that we want to give you. So let's just start. My name is Agnieszka Słowa, and I work at the Welcome Office of the TUM Graduate School, which you can see behind me. My background, on behalf of the whole team of the TUM Graduate School, I would like to welcome you to our first event, Halfway There, which is intended for doctoral candidates who are right now in the second half of the doctorate. The first things first, after the event, we will upload the slides on the wiki page where you have registered for the event. I hope you still have the link, and if not, we will post it in the chat during the event. And as we and our external speakers as well are on a tight schedule, as I said, we would like to ask you to wait with your questions up until the end so that we don't disturb the flow. And if not all questions can be answered, then we will, of course, provide you with necessary contact information in the slides. Okay. I'll be stopping from then on to just let people enter. Okay, so presentation. I hope you can all see it halfway there on the home stretch to success. Our agenda, as you can see in the agenda, we will be covering a broad range of topics today. And our event is intended to give you a broad, a solid overview, but of course we will not be able to cover all the topics and talk about all the processes in detail, especially as your degree awarding institutions might have a specific regulations for different processes, which means that you would need to check those directly with your graduate centers. Before we dive in, I would like to ask you to partake in a short survey so that we can see who has joined us today. What is your school or degree awarding institution? Okay, thank you. Still answering, okay. Let me stop the survey. As we can see, TUM School of Computation Information Technology is represented the same as the TUM School of Management. Wonderful. Okay, that's it. So the first point would be the timeline for the thesis submission. We made it possible for you to ask questions during your registration, and there were a couple of questions about the thesis submission. Before we take a closer look at it, we still have a second and this time the last survey to see how much time you have before the submission, if you are right here. Okay, well, here it is. How much time do you have still to go? All right, thank you. So most of you between 6 months and a year. So this is really, I hope you can see the results. I'm not sure. Can you see the results of the survey? Okay, wonderful. So this is the right the right event for you because you are really on the final stretch already. All right. So have a look at these graphics. Here you can see represented the process of your doctorate and the bullet points that you need to finish them. At this point, all of you should be somewhere here after the first half. So the final entry into the doctoral candidacy list should have been finalized you should have participated in the kickoff seminar of the graduate school, and also the feedback talk with your supervisor should be behind you already. If you haven't filled some of those steps yet, it's about time that you do this. What is still ahead of you is the publication and discussion of your research and the submission of your dissertation. And below this timeline, you can see the mandatory elements that every doctoral candidate, every member of the TUM graduate school needs to fulfill in order to be allowed to submit your dissertation. But also please note that some schools have additional elements which needed to be clarified directly with your graduate center. Okay, now let me hand over to my colleague who will talk more in detail about the thesis submission.
Yes, hello, welcome from my side. I am Mo Zhang. I work also in the TUM Graduate School Management Office. In the next couple of minutes, I'd like to give you a glimpse, an overview, general idea on the thesis submission timeline, and also what are actually what does the several the steps means, and also what you may have read in the doctoral regulations, what does it actually mean. However, like Agnieszka already told you, I'm not going into too much detail because although we have a general framework, doctoral regulations at TUM, each school has a slightly different procedures and regulations. So as you have seen, we have candidates from all schools joining us. So it'll be like too much to go into detail for each school. And if you want to have individual answers for your questions that you may have, it would be the best. Okay, Aga, share the slides again, or should I share them because you just dropped out? I can hear you, but it's okay. I can't hear you. Okay, just now. Okay, right. Thanks. Yeah, so if you have individual questions, you may contact the graduate center, but we also have a list of links for each school provided. Agnieszka will put it in the chat.
I'm sorry, Mo. It looks like when I'm changing the slides, I can't post anything.
Okay, then I will put them later in the tab. So because we have a lot of links for each school,
where you can do it during the Q&A questions.
Yeah, where you can find the direct information for your school, because all of our schools and graduate centers, they have very detailed information about thesis submission procedures and requirements in their respective school. So, okay. Now, when can you submit your thesis? As you've already heard, you may only submit your thesis after you fulfill the TUM Graduate School Basic Program elements. And if you have fulfilled all those requirements in your Doc.js account, in your progress tree, you will see the function submission of dissertation that you will pop out, and you can just file your application for thesis submission. But not before. So if you don't see it right now, don't worry. This function will be activated automatically after you have fulfilled all those basic qualification elements. Next slide, please. This is just a screenshot how it will look like. So in your progress tree, after the qualification program data confirmation, after you get the check, you can proceed with submission of dissertation, and the right screenshot is just how it looks. It's Antrag auf Einreichung, application for submission. You just click on it, and then you can submit fill in your information and submit it. Next slide, please. Now, how does the process actually look like? So, first step would be to click in the right section in your Doc.js progress tree, fill out the application for thesis submission in Doc.js. Just please make sure to double check that all your information is correct, because we get we have cases where someone forgot his or her middle name, and then it won't be printed on the doctoral diploma later. But of course, you want to include your middle name, etc. So just make sure to have the right information already at this stage to avoid any problems and confusions later on. And while filling out the application for thesis submission, you also have to upload several documents. You can see it here, but you can also have all those information directly on our website, and also the template, because you must submit a title page for your dissertation. Just download the template from our website and you're good. And also you need to submit an abstract of your dissertation for the university library, but the colleagues from the university library will for sure talk about it later. We have a publication list. You will also need to upload a sworn statement, in German called eidesstattliche Erklärung, that you did your dissertation on your own and you didn't have any help. And we also need a CV and a master's diploma. And also if you are doing a publication-based dissertation, there are also other documents specifically required for publication-based dissertation. What's important to know is that we need a sworn statement and also the CV in German. Also, if you don't speak any German, those documents you have to submit in German. And after you've uploaded all the required documents and double check that your personal information are correct, please make sure to actually click on submission in Doc.js. Sometimes we get calls from doctoral candidates who say, okay, I filled in my application several weeks ago and nothing happened. And then we look into the system and we realize, oh, okay, the doctoral candidate had only clicked on save, but actually hadn't submitted the application. But don't worry, because if you submit your application successfully, you will receive an automated email from Doc.js informing you that your application has been successfully submitted. When this is the case, your graduate center and the school office will get a notification that a new candidate has submitted his or her the submission of the thesis. And the graduate center and also the school office, they will check whether you have fulfilled all those basic requirements, but also the specific requirements of your graduate center. As you should be aware of, some of the graduate centers, they have additional requirements, course elements, etc. And this is the latest at this stage, those informations will be checked. And if you haven't fulfilled all of them, your thesis submission application will be put on hold until you have fulfilled all those specific requirements of your graduate center. If your application got approved by a graduate center, you will also again receive an automated email via Doc.js that your application can now be downloaded and printed. So do it, please, that you should have those documents signed. It's very important because the doctoral office, they need your original signature. And while signing and preparing all those documents, you need to submit in person at the home office of doctoral affairs. You, of course, need to make an appointment. Don't drop in and try your luck. Call them before and make an appointment to submit your documents in person. You can find the contact persons on our website, information, the phone number, everything, because depending on your school, you have a different contact person responsible for you. Now, you can also find all those information, all those documents you need to submit in person, but you can find them on our website. So I already see there are some questions in the chat. Yes, you can see the dates of the school council meetings on the website, either of your graduate center or on the website of your school. Why am I mentioning it? Because it's very important to keep in mind that although you may submit your thesis anytime throughout the year, you have to, the schools, they have predefined thesis submission time slots or timeline in alignment with the school council meeting. Just for you to be on the safe side, usually you should start the thesis submission process like 6 to 8 weeks before a school council meeting is scheduled to take place. And on the websites of the graduate centers and the schools, you can find detailed information on it. And some of them even really have like defined slots from the 1st of April to the 15th of May. You have to do this and this. And from the 15th of May to end of June, you have to do this and this in order to meet the graduate council, the school council meeting date. So don't worry. Of course, you'll find all those information on the website. So after you've submitted all those documents in person to the Office of Doctoral Affairs, the colleagues over there, they will verify whether your documents are in alignment with the formal requirements of our doctoral regulations. And if this is the case, they will forward your file to the school in charge of your doctorate. The next slide. Yes, and after the school office or the graduate center receives all your documents, the school will initiate the official doctoral examination process. Based on the suggestion of your doctoral supervisor, the school council appoints examination committee, including a chairperson. And the chairperson is also in charge of getting all those written reports from the examination committee members. Usually, as a general rule, the examiners, they have up to 3 months time to submit their written report. In order for your dissertation to pass this first stage, all the examiners must be in favor of acceptance. If one of the examiners says, no, I'm not in favor of this dissertation being accepted, you have failed your first attempt. In that case, the examination committee, they will discuss whether you can submit your dissertation with major revision or whether you actually need to do an entirely new dissertation. But usually, and hopefully it will also be the case for you, the dissertation is assessed as passed by all examiners. In this case, the chairperson of your examination committee will involve the board of professors or teaching faculty in what we call in German, it's Umlauf. So usually 20 members of your school, like professors, teaching faculty members, they will also receive your dissertation together with the written report from your examiners, because they also need to assess the dissertation. They usually have a 2 to 4 weeks time for this, and your dissertation is accepted if the required number of favorable decisions is reached. If you have a committee consisting of 20 members, then usually you will need at least 15 professors in favor of acceptance. If this is the case, the examination committee chairperson will discuss with you and your doctoral supervisor what are the potential dates for your oral examination, and the examination committee chair will send out the invite to the examination committee members and also publicly announce the examination date in your school for your oral examination. Of course, as a general rule, all the examiners have to participate in the oral examination. However, since the global pandemic, it's basically new regulation that you may also conduct your oral examination partly via video conferencing, so in a hybrid format, prior approval by the school. So if you know, okay, you want to have a hybrid oral examination, please contact the graduate center in due time to inquire what are the specific approval procedures and timelines in your school for a hybrid oral examination. The oral examination usually takes like 60 minutes. You will be examined by oral examiners, and the good thing is you will get the results usually directly after the oral examination, so you will know whether you've passed or not. And the date of the oral examination is also the date of the doctorate. It will be mentioned on your doctoral diploma, and this is also the end of your TUM graduate school membership. However, you are still not finished because you have to publish your dissertation within 12 months after the date of the oral examination in order to receive your final doctoral diploma. My colleagues from the University Library, they will tell you more about the publication of dissertation, where to publish, how to publish, etc. And yeah, after you've published your dissertation, you will get a notification, usually from your graduate center or from the TUM Office of Doctoral Affairs, that you can pick up your final diploma. So please check that your email, that the email address you've provided before doing the thesis submission process, that you will be reachable via this email address, because otherwise you won't get a notification that you can pick up your final diploma and the TUM graduate school transcript, of course. All in all, usually it takes up to 6 months from the date of your application for thesis submission until the oral examination. So you should definitely calculate your 6 months. All right, so that was this part. I'm not sure because we say we have time for questions in the end, but right now, so yeah.
I think maybe we should wait for, there were a couple of questions in the chat, but I think it's better maybe so that we wait till the end, not to disturb the flow of the event. And our colleagues from the TUM University Library are already here. Welcome. I'm giving the stage to you. Just let me know each time when I should change the slide.
Hello, thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for having us today. Welcome to the libraries part of Halfway There on How to Publish. My name is Katharina Markgraf. I'm the subject librarian of the Sports and Health Sciences and the director of TUM University Press. And I hold the presentation today together with my colleague Hedwig Becker, who is part of the information services team and the library management. Hedi, say hello, please.
Hello, welcome also from my side, and I'll do the very last part of the presentation. Katharina is hopefully being able. So. Yeah, she's got a bit of a cold, but
I
Katharina,
catch the cold, but I think switch. I will.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, it sounds good right now. Thank you for coming.
We will talk like about 20 minutes, and then I think there's some time left for questions, or maybe the questions are afterwards, as you mentioned. Please go to the next slide. Thank you. So the University Library offers various advisory and training services when it comes to the publication support. We inform you, for instance, about how to choose the right journal, how to identify predatory journals and predatory publishers, how peer review works, what Creative Commons are, what the TUM publication guidelines are, how academic identity management works, what open access is, how to get funded by the publishing fund, and of course also how to publish your work. And on some of these keywords we will focus today. And I will start with the publication process in a journal, since some of you will also write a cumulative thesis. So first of all, of course, you have to choose a suitable journal. And once you have found one, the next step is to look at the author guidelines, which you can usually find on the journal's or publisher's website. These guidelines should list things like requirements for the format of the manuscript or instructions how to submit it, and so on. So once the manuscript then has been submitted by you, it is the publisher's turn. If the editor editors accept it, then it will be forwarded to the reviewers, and you will at some point get feedback from the reviewers, and then if necessary, the article must be revised, or it is quite fine like it is, or it is in the worst case rejected. If it is if the manuscript is accepted for publication, an author agreement must be signed, and we will also come to that a bit later. The next slide, please. So I said you have to choose the right journal, but how to do that? Here, the experience of your colleagues is always very valuable. They can, of course, give you tips in which journal they already have published in, or maybe your own experience as well. Because if you are working on a certain research topic, then you usually do a literature search and already know what journals are right for you. Please stay there for just a bit more. Another thought may be that if you have access to the journal at all, so you can check out the electronic journals library, the EZB, to see if a journal is available for you at the TUM. The EZB, they use a traffic light navigation system to show you which journal is licensed and thus available at the TUM. And you can also, of course, consider the journal impact factor, which roughly indicates how often the articles of a certain journal are cited in other publications. But please use that with caution. Then I want to mention the Directory of Open Access, the DOAJ. It only contains open access journals that meet quality standards and also have a peer review process. And if you use EndNote as your reference management software, there's also a very nice option, which is called the manuscript matcher, which is included in it. With it, you can enter the title and abstract of your manuscript, and in the end of the process, it will get you a list of journals that might be suitable for your publication. Next one, please. Peer review, of course, is a procedure for quality assurance in publications where the publisher does not publish the submitted article immediately, but it is first sent to a group of scientists who are familiar with the topic, which then are called the peers. I think most of you may already know this, but I wanted to mention it because it's a really important topic. The peer reviewers will point out any problems and ask the author to change the article accordingly, and it can also happen several times in a row. So then once they say it's okay, your article can be published, and of course the reviewers can also reject an article. In most cases, the peer reviewers do not receive payment for the review, but it is just considered a normal part of their scientific work. And in many fields of research, I think especially in medicine and the natural sciences, there are no important journals that exist without peer review. So this is when it comes to another topic I want you to be aware of. The next one, please. These are the predatory publishing and predatory conferences. Unfortunately, there exists more and more like bad publishers who offer a journal or who offer a conference without providing any quality, without providing peer reviews, and who only are after your money. So to avoid this, we have prepared an information page on our website, which is linked here, where you can find more information on this. And in addition, I would strongly recommend these two pages, Think, Check, Submit, and Think, Check, Attend, for conferences, where you can find more information on this. So if you are unsure if a certain journal is a high quality or not, we will always be happy to help you. So please just contact us and we will get into it for you.
Yeah, and in July, there will be also a course where you can learn about that and try it out by yourself to find out if journals are, of good or bad quality.
So now that's it for journals. If you want to publish, you of course are an author and you have certain author's rights. So now let me quickly come to the German copyright. Until now, there exists no such thing as a global copyright. Therefore, I can only speak out for the German copyright today. which protects the personal intellectual creation of every author in art, literature, and of course in science. And these personal creations, they may include text, speeches, software, music, art, photographs, but of course also scientific and technical illustrations, translations, and also some more. It does not apply to raw data. This is important to bear in mind. The copyright only applies to persons, not to institutions or companies, other than, for instance, the American copyright law. It begins automatically when the work is created, but it also can be passed on to your inheritors, and it will last until 70 years after the death of the author. One aspect which I think might be relevant for some of you is the relationship between copyright and employment status. As a general rule, employees remain authors and remain copyright holders. That means that if you write and publish your thesis at the TUM, you still hold every right on it. However, it may be that employees have to grant their employer the exclusive right to use and distribute the work when it was created as part of the employment. So you have to look at the employment contract here. Normally, this is only the case for software, but to be sure, have a look at your contract. You can also ask TUM Forte, the Patents and Licenses section, for more information about this. And we put some more information on the copyright on our webpage as well. So what about authors' rights now? Authors have several rights, of course, such as the right of first publication and the right of exploitation. So this means that you as an author decide how your work will be exploited. May it be in a physical form, of course, most commonly as a text, or in a non-corporeal form, maybe as a public reading. If you want your work to be published, you have to give the publisher the right of use. This is very important to bear in mind, that if you grant someone an exclusive right, you as an author are later not permitted to reuse your work again unless the rights holder permits it in the contract. So this is also sadly the standard contract when publishing with big commercial publishers, why I strongly recommend that you try to find alternative publishers or try to grant only non-exclusive usage rights. Then there is also the right of recognition of the authorship, the right of integrity of your work. You have the right of withdrawal, which is sometimes used when a publisher doesn't fulfill its contract. And last but not least, we have the right of editing, which allows translation of the work. And the last one I put there, in Germany, we have the so-called secondary publication right, das unabdingbare Zweitveröffentlichungsrecht, real tongue twister here. This applies mostly to scientific journal articles and means that you can publish your work a second time when certain prerequisites are being fulfilled. I won't go into detail here, but I think I put up a link to a handbook from the Federal Ministry of Education and Research where it is explained in more detail. So normally an author agreement is required for every publication, because when another party does something with your text, a contract must be concluded, which should include things like deadlines, remuneration, course coverage, and so on. And sometimes, if on a specific problem there is no rule in the contract, the German publishing law also applies. If you as an author want to sign an author contract, may it be for a journal article or your doctoral thesis or another book maybe you have in mind, you want to ask yourselves two questions. The first one is, which usage rights are you granting? Every right should be listed in the contract, and you only should grant as minimal rights as possible, as I mentioned earlier. Because contracts can always be extended, but not so easily be withdrawn later. And the second question would be, are there any third-party rights involved? You as the author know best if there is anything to be concerned about and are obliged to obtain these rights, for instance, for image materials or something. Most of the time when it comes to doctoral theses, this is not the case, but it is good to know and to have a look at it. In some cases, however, you do not necessarily need an author agreement, and this is mostly the case when it comes to CC licenses, why I want to mention them here as well. Just a quick word about them. CC is a non-profit organization that helps authors to release legally protected content by offering easy license agreements. There are a number of standard license agreements with which authors can grant their usage rights to the public. And these licenses are easy to understand and are legally valid at the same time. Thus, they offer legal security through very simple licensing process. You can use them for your text, of course, but also for other media forms. And these Creative Commons licenses are combinations of different components, which you can see in the middle. There are 4 components. CC BY is the attribution, CC&C non-commercial use, CC&D no derivatives, and CCSA share alike. So they you can decide what should be allowed or not, and then combine these different components into the 6 licenses you see on the right, which offer different levels of usage rights. So that's about it, CC. When you use these licenses, it means that your work is published open access. And this is why I wanted to have a quick word about open access and in academia and in education, because what are the advantages that open access can bring to you? Through open access, there is a better access to your research results and that anyone can access them freely. And at the same time, the visibility of the research results is increased, which means it is more likely that open access articles will be read by a larger audience than closed access articles. This also comes with quicker discussions in the scientific community, and they are often more often cited and more quickly cited than other articles. Open access is also beneficial to international cooperation and interdisciplinary research. And you can very roughly distinguish between 2 ways of open access. The first one is the so-called green way, where you initially publish in a conventional closed access journal, but besides that, you also make your article available on a suitable platform later. This is the so-called secondary publication. But the other way is the golden way to open access, in which your publication is made directly in an open access journal. And we will have a quick look at that now as well. Please go to the next slide. Thank you. The golden way to open access can either be done in a genuine open access journal or in a journal in which not all articles have open access and where you can choose to make your article accessible for free or not. This is called a hybrid journal then. And there are also journals in which all articles automatically become freely available after a certain period of time, normally a year or 2. These are the so-called embargoed journals. Usually a publication in an open access journal is subject to fees, the so-called APCs, article processing charges, which the publishers charge and which can range from a few €100 to sadly several €1,000. You can have a look in the directory of open access journals, again, to find your suitable journal and to find also the information on it, like how high the APCs are. So if you want to publish the golden way at the TUM, in the best case, you have a third-party funded project in which the publication funds are already available. But if this is not the case, you have 2 possibilities on how your article can be funded at the TUM, depending on the publisher. For some publishers, the TUM has general agreements under which you can publish your article open access. You can find these agreements on the homepage I linked here. And some of these agreements allow the publishing in all of the publishers' journals or also maybe in some journals. We have that in detail on the website. If your publication is not covered by one of these agreements, then there is a central fund at our university from which the publishing fees can be funded, the Open Access Publishing Fund. It is partly financed by the university library and partly by the department or schools. However, the resources, of course, they are limited, and it also depends on your department how much funds are available. Therefore, if you want to use the fund, please use the application via our web form, and we can then check if it's eligible for you, and we will get in contact on how to proceed further. Whether or not to publish your open access, you in any case have to register your doctoral thesis. This is the next slide, please. And you may register your thesis at the doctorate office already in a very early stage, because you only need the title and the abstract in German and English, which can be changed later as well. It is important that you do that at an early stage. You can start at the library website here, and we just put a screenshot. I think it's a little bit small to read, but you will have the slides later and can look up where to go from there. Hedi, please add information if I forgot something.
No, I think that's okay. There's the link, and you'll find out how to do it. And I just read today that if you finish this registering process, you should load up this registration at DocGS. So it's important. And one thing is that people always think that should be 500 words that you should use for an abstract. No, it's very, very small. And later on, you can change it to your preferred length.
So Hedi, we already have a question here. Maybe it's very quick to answer.
Yes, early stage. Yeah, I think it's possible as soon as you have kind of a title and this short abstract in German and English, and your supervisor will have to sign this. And so it's up to you and your supervisor. We found out that some people did it just before publishing. It's no problem if you do that, but sometimes you're in a hurry, and then it takes you maybe a week to do this registration, and this sets you back if you're in a hurry to leave the country or to get a new job and will have your doctorate certificate. So do it as soon as possible, and then it's done.
Okay, thank you. I think we can go on here.
Yes.
So as you know, every doctoral candidate has to publish his or her doctoral thesis in order to be granted the PhD title. And you have two options here at the TUM. The first one is to publish electronically on our institutional repository, Mediatum. Mediatum is the media and publication server of the TUM, and you can publish all kinds of stuff there, including journal articles, conference papers, images, video collections, also research data, and also, of course, your thesis. You can upload your PDF here. You will get a DOI. The work is full text indexed and open access, freely accessible. The publication here is also free of charge and the fastest way to publish. The second option is to publish in print with a publisher. This may be a commercial publisher or non-commercial publisher. The range of possibilities here differs greatly, also concerning the price-performance ratio. As it is the case with the journals, it is also the case here. Some publishers only will charge you a few €100, but others, like I know from Springer, for instance, they will charge you like €5,000 for your publication. So it is very important for you that you do a profound research in advance and also ask your colleagues about their own experiences, because the publication situation is also varies also greatly from subject to subject. If you choose the first option, publishing your thesis electronically, you have to follow the workflow on the library's website. You have to do several parts here. You have to upload the approved title page, the abstract. You, of course, have to upload your final PDF. You can have a check on the metadata. And if necessary in your case, you can also request an embargo. But this is all fully explained in detail in the workflow on the library's website as well. I think we have another little picture there. Yeah, we have step 1, step 2. So Hedi, please add.
Yeah, no, this is okay. There's a question in the chat that might also be interesting for you. It's what is it? What does it say? Is it possible to parts in print, or does it have to be one-to-one the same document submitted beforehand for oral examination? Maybe the team from graduate school knows it better, but I think after oral examination, you could be asked for some changes by your supervisor or by your exam professors. And so will be a final version of your dissertation. And if it's just the last, very final dissertation, then you upload it, because afterwards we cannot change it. You can decide if you want your CV inside or the Widmung recommendations there. If you want to thank someone, you can leave that out for the publishing your thesis. But if you do it electronically, we upload it, send to our national library, and then you cannot change anything there. So be aware that it's the very final version, not the one you have for the oral exam, but the one which is finished and it won't be changed anymore. So maybe that's what you asked. About published papers in very near...
Hedi, maybe we can look at the questions later on in the end, because we have a few more slides, and then we maybe have time. I have 2 slides to go, and then you can take over. So the second option, if you choose to publish in print with a publisher, for a few years now, you can choose to publish with TUM University Press, which is a non-profit publisher, and you can be sure that your thesis is in good hands with us, and you'll sign a fair author agreement as well, because our authors' contracts only grants us the necessary rights we need for publishing and distribution, and no further rights. We coordinate the whole production process with you with a printer's shop. Your book will be assigned an international standard book number, and we will take care of all aspects of distribution in online and offline book trade as well. Furthermore, we have a business model, like we are not for profit, so you only pay for our services, which is at the moment 500 euros plus printing, which of course varies on the length of your doctoral thesis. If you want to publish with us, you have to be, of course, a TUM member, or your doctoral thesis has to be written at the TUM. You have to submit us your print-ready PDF file, and you also have to fill out the web form to let us know that you're interested. And I just want to say one last slide, some words about the press in general. We are part of the university library. Every TUM subject can be published with us. And of course, our goal is to reflect the diversity of the scientific publishing at the TUM. Furthermore, we promote easy publishing of books also in limited editions, which would not be possible with some big commercial publishing houses. And we want to bring you a broad visibility and a good citation profile as well. Also, I'm very proud to announce, one last click, please, for now, and then I'm finished, that we just have established a platform to publish Diamond Open Access journals. So from now on, all TUM members will be able to found their own journal and host it with TUM University Press. So please be free to have a look at the website for more information on this topic. So that's it from me. Thank you very much. Hedi will now take over and talk briefly about some other services which might be of interest for you.
Yes, you talked about the visibility as a scientist, and one thing that helps you could be publishing your research data. Also here, our university library provides you. There is a lot of information on our website, which I've linked here, and there's also a library course about research data management that helps you to take care of your research data, how not to lose them, how to structure them, and so on. Feel free to register for a course and think about publishing your research data. Next slide, please. Next, visibility as a scientist is very important, I think. And we also have this very long 4-hour course for us, very long 4-hour course about bibliometrics. It's about visibility and research impact. You can check there what you can do to make yourself visible, like the publication rules, publication options, and also how academic metrics are to be consulted. What is the impact factor? What is the H index? How do they work? And what is their, how should you think about it? A critical view on those metrics. There is also a consultation if you need help there. Feel free to get in contact and we'll try to help you. Almost last slide, please. We support you further. And so if you're in a stage where you still need help for researching literature, there are literature research course for you as doctoral candidates. It's called Compact Course for your literature search for your dissertation. They are in German. There are various subjects. In English, there's just one course, but feel free to register there. We also help you with citing, for example, the course Citing for Scientists. And if you use the reference management Citave or EndNote, also feel free here to get in contact. There's just one link to our courses and consultation. So go there, check if you that will help you in almost any library problem. Last slide, please. This is just our hotline contact. So ask there from Monday to Friday, by phone, by chat, where we could help you, and we'll be happy to do so. Thanks a lot that we could present our services here. And now we go to the second question, I think. Katharina, did you see that already? Did you check it? So we can answer this question, and if there were more, we'll be happy to that.
You mean the how about published papers in very renewed? Actually, I don't know about that. I have to commit. Maybe this is something
I think
from the graduate school.
It seems like it's a cumulative dissertation.
Yeah, publication-based dissertation.
Publication, yes. So I think, as far as I know, you have to talk to your graduate center because they somehow are different from graduate center to graduate center. Is that true, Mo?
Yes, it's not depending on the graduate center. It's depending on what we call the promotionsführende Einrichtung. So actually the school or the Department of Sport and Health Science, Department of Medicine, because the subjects, they are hugely different. So what applies for a mechanical engineer does not necessarily apply for an architect. So we might have even different regulations within the School of Engineering and Design, for example. So contact your graduate center or your school office to find out what the guidelines are, the scope of the publications, etc., how many publications, co-authorship, etc., that is applicable for your individual case. Don't ask your colleagues because, as I said, it varies depending on the subject. Directly contact the school office, please.
Thanks a lot, Mo. Okay, yeah, that was it from the library side. Any further questions here?
And if there are no questions maybe arising now, you have a contact information. Here you will receive the slides, so you're always welcome to contact the colleagues later on when you have had time to digest all the information that you received today, because of course it was a lot of information. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ms. Margraf. Thank you so much, Ms. Becker. And I think it was really informative.
Thanks for having us. All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, now we will go to our next topic, career planning, and I will hand over to another colleague from the TUM Graduate School, Ms. Urkuya, who will do this part.
Yeah. Thank you, Aga. Hi, how are you? Very glad to be here. I am Carla Urquia. I am part of the qualification programs team at the TUM Graduate School. Today, I am going to talk about the transferable skills training and how the TUM Graduate School can support you during your doctorate. So we can start with the slides. I wanted to start by saying that we can all agree that making decisions can be often challenging, mostly when it comes to your professional life. So if you're a master's student and you are passionate about research, you will for sure be curious about your job opportunities after your studies. And this is where the idea of doing a doctorate might sound the right thing to do for you. So the good news is that for a variety of job roles and career routes, the skills and expertise of a researcher are in demand. So on the other hand, it is really important that you, if you decide to pursue a doctorate, it should be for the right reasons. So it is a big commitment. And yeah, it's important to understand this from the very first beginning. So at the end, what it's truly key is that you have to demonstrate how your knowledge and your expertise will benefit your employer or the project that you're working on at the moment. So this is where transferable skills come into play. So what are transferable skills? These are a set of personal and social attributes, competencies, qualities, or attitudes that might allow us to perform effectively in different situations, whether in a social or a professional environment. And you might think, why are they important? Well, for example, communication skills. You will have to do many presentations, lectures, or seminars. Creative thinking. Doctoral candidates are often they are asked to think outside of the box. Management abilities, as well as managing your time. You will have to probably manage a small team of research assistants or mentor undergraduate students. Maybe also problem-solving skills. During your doctorate, for sure, you will have to tackle and solve numerous or many research problem. So therefore, transferable skills are much as important as any other relevant content on your field. All these skills will help you to communicate more effectively, improving your job performance, and will also eventually help you to develop your professional relationships. This is why at the TUM Graduate School, we created the transferable skills training as an offer for those who are doing their doctorate at TUM and want to expand their transferable skills for their professional future to further develop your interdisciplinary experience. So we offer 6 courses in 6 competence areas. So we have personality and self-management, communication, and methodological competence, leadership and responsibility in the doctorate-oriented program. And we have in the career-oriented program, science and research, entrepreneurship and startups, and business and industry. If we go to the next slide, I can show you a couple of the courses that we have on the doctorate-oriented program. As I said, in the personality and self-management, we have courses as Find Your Flow, mental health, or project management and time management. Then in communication, we have, as I mentioned, also some courses for to get better on doing your presentations, presenting your research, conference talks, and poster sessions, promover and plan, and scientific writing shop and workshop. And at the end, then we have also the leaderships courses, lateral leadership, pioneers of change, and a German course, Selbstführung. This is our very famous and very famous course that many people want to visit every semester. And if we go to the next slide, I can show you the career-oriented program courses. We have in the science and research category, career paths in academia, überzeugende Forschungsanträge schreiben, or Weg zur Professur. We have also a very nice event every semester. What else? We have in entrepreneurship and startups, we have courses as communication toolbox and entrepreneurship, leadership, and self-empowerment. These courses are together with Internematum. And also we have innovative product Entwicklung. And in the area of business and industry, we have courses as career planning, essential skills for career and industry, and furthermore. So basically what we want here is to support you, right? To support you, we are going to be there. We're always you can contact us, and we can also give you, we can support you, basically saying what are the courses that you're looking for. And even when the participation is not mandatory, we encourage you to try them. So as career decisions are definitely not something to be taken lightly, we would like to support you during this process, since it's not about the career, the right career path, but it's more the one that suits you the best, right? So from my side, that was it. If you want to have more information, you can always find us in our website, in the part of transferable skills training. And that's it. Thank you. We look forward to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Carla.
Of course.
Okay. The next part would be about international mobility, which is a very important part of doctorate at TUM. And I will now hand over to Mo.
Okay, thanks. You can directly switch to the next one. So about so why international mobility in this session here? Because we get a lot of questions from doctor candidates in the final stage of their doctorate. So I heard that there might be some funding from the graduate school to support international conference papers or summer schools, etc. So that's why I want to give you a brief overview of this too in this session today. So the internationalization support from the graduate school is available after the initial kickoff seminar and also after the feedback talk. So you should be in the second half of your doctorate. That's the case with all of you here basically today. So we offer up to 1,600 euros for doctoral candidates who are employed at TUM, at the Klinikum Rechte ISA, or who have a doctoral scholarship. So just information for those who are not part of the internal TUM doctoral candidate group. We have a special mobility funding line for external doctoral candidates who are employed with BMW, at Helmholtz, Fraunhofer, etc. So what can be funded? Up to 1,600 euros for research stays at scientific academic research institutions or at companies abroad. It's basically everything starting from 1 to 2 weeks, depending on, of course, the research stay should make sense. And you can also apply for funding if you want to present your own research results at an international conference or symposium. You may also apply for a summer school or winter school or scientific workshop, and we can take care at least of the conference fees or the workshop fees, etc. And you may also invite international examiners for your own oral examination. So if you are already at the very end of your dissertation and you still have some money left, you may apply for the budget you have left to co-fund the travel cost of your international examiner to take part in your oral examination at TUM. And we also have additional 1,400 euros if you want to do a international research stay longer than 4 weeks. So next, please. Now, maybe you have family obligations or you're in the final process of writing up your thesis and you don't want or you cannot go abroad, then you can also use the internationalization support to invite visiting researchers to work on your dissertation here directly in your research group, or you can also participate in virtual international conference workshops, etc., and we can reimburse you the conference fee. Next, please. So what are the most common questions we receive from doctoral candidates in the final stage of the doctorate? So the most common question is, can I apply for the internationalization support after a change in my doctoral funding? Usually, as we all know, the TUM employment contract, in a very few cases, you have the contract until the very end of your dissertation. So for the last couple of months, you may be self-funded, then you can, of course, still apply for the funding. Baseline is if you already have an external job, then your new employer, he or she or the company, should not profit from your research day or from your conference participation. So if you present your paper at an international conference, then you cannot attend the conference in your new function as a company employee, but you attend the conference as a TUM doctoral candidate, mentioning that the result part of your dissertation. Then we can still fund you within the usual funding line for internal doctoral candidates. The second question, I have already submitted my thesis. Can I still apply? Of course, you may do so. As mentioned before, the date of your oral examination is the end date of your TUM Graduate School membership. So basically, you can use the budget you have left to go abroad before the oral examination. In very few exceptional cases, if it makes sense, you can also apply for the internationalization support 3 months after your oral examination. Usually, if an international conference, the date is like 2 weeks after your oral examination, but of course, you still attend the conference as a TUM doctoral candidate and present your dissertation results there. Then it's not your fault that the conference is like 2 weeks after your oral examination. In that case, of course, you can apply for the budget you may have left. But it's only in exceptional cases. So if you're interested in planning to do so, just contact your graduate center and the colleagues there will check and will approve or decline your approval. Now, I have just an example. I recognize some of your names, so I know some of you have already received part of the funding from us. Then you can, of course, apply for the rest of it to co-fund another international conference or research day abroad, possible. And now, also a question, I still have some internationalization budget left, but you're not going to use it anymore. Can you use it for another purpose, maybe to fund your open access publication, or could you transfer it to a colleague of yours? Sadly, no, it's not possible because the travel budget is cost bound. So it's really only for you and only for international activities. Next, I think we can skip this one. Just directly go to the next one, please. Yeah, so if you're in the initial survey, we found out that most of you are in the last 12 months of your dissertation, but still, if you say, okay, now is the good time before you get a job in industry or embark on your postdoctoral journey, whatever, and now you have a couple of months left and you want to do research abroad, but you don't know where, then you can also apply for our framework research exchange programs we have in place with a couple of universities, like this with the University of Queensland. Or next slide, please. It's with our newest program. It's with UNESCO in Sao Paulo, Brazil. You can apply for it. The programs, they start from 3 months or even in certain cases 2 months research days. So you can still apply for it, even if you only have like 6 to 12 months left and you want to enjoy your doctorate experience, and you get additional special exchange program funding for those programs if you want to participate in them. That's about it at this point. So yeah.
Yeah, I saw that we had a couple of questions in the chat, but as we are both staying till the end of the event, then we'll deal with them later. Or you can also answer them if you want in the chat during my part.
Here, questions. How do I go abroad for 3 months if I am employed at home? I'm not sure about the 3 months, whether this is a fixed timeline or what's this, but actually, if you are employed at home, of course, you have to talk to your supervisor. We have plenty of doctoral candidates employed at home. I mean, most of them are, and they do research, say, for 3, 5, 6 months. We have what we call the Abordnung or Entsendung. It's a possibility, but we also have the possibility that you, right now, you still go abroad while having an active home employment contract, because you still do research for your chair, or you do online teaching. I mean, since Corona, you can do also some, maybe some like supervise your bachelor, master students online, and also do the courses.
If I may add to this just quickly.
Yes, sure.
So thanks for answering so far. So my main question, I mean, I am employed at my chair and I have some like teaching load, and I don't know whether it's possible to do that online or hybrid, but I understand now that formally speaking, it is allowed to be employed and then still go abroad, discuss with my supervisor what's possible or not. And the 3 months was just like something that I made up due to the Australian research program thingy, which says 3 to 6 months. But in general, the other question that goes hand in hand with that, after my thesis submission, before I have my oral examination, that would be then the perfect time to go abroad. Is that right?
You may. I mean, it depends, because what you need to know is a doctoral candidate, they're hardly employed for doing their thesis. You are employed at your chair to support your chair in daily business, in teaching, and in supervision, bachelor, master thesis. So you're not employed to do your own research on your dissertation.
Yeah.
So this means that your teaching obligations, they don't stop with your thesis submission. It could still be the case that everyday life looks exactly the same as right now after your thesis submission, because your workload at your chair still remains the same.
I understand. So if I plan to exit academia, I will just continue my normal everyday business at the chair and don't do research and just wait for my oral examination then. But if I go abroad and plan to do that in that like time gap, yeah, I mean, it's a bit stupid to ask, but I don't know what to do then, because if I don't plan to do much more research, it's a little bit of a, yeah, I don't know.
It depends on your chair. So what you are doing right now, so what of your work portfolio. So just talk to your supervisor. Usually, as far as I know, home supervisors, they don't like their employees just sitting around. So he or she would definitely find you something to do. Maybe increase the teaching load, whatever. But it depends on the chair, on your boss or your supervisor.
Yeah, just that going abroad would make sense and content-wise, like beneficial for me and the institution and our chair. But yeah, okay, I understand that this is discussed on an individual basis. And all right, thank you very much.
Okay, welcome. So another question is, so can we use the money that is for us from the graduate student in order to pay for some courses? You mean the international courses? So if it's a international summer school taking place outside of Germany, sure, you may use your international budget for it. If it's a international course, or not even an international course, just some course, maybe in Berlin or in Augsburg, then you cannot use the travel budget, because the travel budget is for international activities outside of Germany.
The question regarded the courses from transferable skills, so no.
Okay.
It was just specified. It was just specified in the chat.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I don't think we had more questions regarding international.
Just one, because I'm could be like applicable for another other candidate. So I'm a current doctor candidate. Am I allowed to apply for internationalization support? As mentioned before, we have a special funding scheme for it. The international grant, it's up to 1,600 euros. It's especially for external doctor candidates. So please contact your graduate center, because you have to submit your application directly at your graduate center. And depending on the graduate center, they have different deadlines for submission. So if you are interested and you are an external candidate, you should definitely approach them as soon as possible. Now, another one is the EuroTech program, also an option for internship. I'm not sure what EuroTech program, because we have like a lot of different EuroTech programs. But what I can say is all the programs some graduate school offers, like the research exchange on supervision, etc., they can be combined with our standard funding format. So it's not exclusive. You need to decide for which one you apply for, but you can combine your travel money with the program-specific funding that we have in place for our own joint supervision research exchange program.
There's also a question if someone is both part of the Helena Helmholtz Graduate School and TUM, if they can still apply for the internationalization support.
It depends on your work contract. If you have an employment contract with Helmholtz, then you are eligible to receive the funding provided by Helmholtz directly. If you are part of Helena Graduate Center, but you are employed at QM or at our university hospital, then you can apply for the TUM Graduate School international support, but still you have to apply through Helena. So we have internal agreements in place. So your first contact point would be Helena in both cases.
I'm checking if there are more questions. I think not right now. All right, so maybe let's just move on to the last part. It's the last point on our agenda and covers a couple of smaller but also important parts and questions. There are a couple of links, and Mo will be posting them in the chat. For those of you who are employed at TUM, and many of you seem to be, it might very well be that your contract ends before you have finished the doctorate. Regardless of that, of course, you will be still allowed to pursue your doctorate, but there are some things that you need to remember. On one hand, you need to clarify the funding for the rest of the doctorate in due time before the contract ends. Whether it might be that there might be funding for the extension of the contract of some external funding, or if you need to look for another source of income. And this is often left to the last moment, and this is not a clever thing to do, to wait too long.
So, hello? I'm not sure what happened or whether my colleague just dropped out. So, I think we'll just, so maybe some of you could give me a sign.
I think she was kicked out. So you're the host now, and there's no presentation of hers anymore. So her video stopped and her voice stopped, and she left the meeting.
Okay, good. No, because I was just like confused. So now let me see. So I think Agnieszka, she talked about this point, right? So what happens when your contract at home ends before you finish your degree, right? So
Yeah, correct.
okay. So I'm not sure what she mentioned, but yeah, the possible implications are basically not directly linked with your doctorate. You remain a doctorate candidate at QM as long as you're registered on the doctorate candidate list in DocGS. Because as I explained before, the employment at home basically has nothing to do with your research. It's like different purposes. So we don't care how, like from the graduate school, we don't care how you fund yourself, if we can just say so. But in order for you to submit your thesis and get to your oral examination, please stay registered in DocGS. And if you don't have a contract anymore, but still are a member in the graduate school before your oral examination, that means that you are still a member of the QM. You don't need to sign a what we call Benutzer agreement or Benutzervereinbarung, the user agreement, because you're still part of TUM, being part of the TUM graduate school. So basically nothing changes here. Of course, what could happen is you will lose your TUM online account with the status as a TUM employee. In that case, please contact the TUM online responsible person at your research group to assign you with a TUM online guest account. That's possible for you to still access all of the internal information in this TUM online. For foreign nationals, of course, with the end of your contract and your purpose of your residence permit. So this is very important that you talk to your supervisor in due time, whether you could get an extension of your work contract, or if you don't get the extension of your work contract, what happens? I think Agnieszka, she's back. So yes. I'm talking about the implications for foreign nationals. So maybe you want to continue on this one.
I was just
I talked about the status at home, so you don't need to have.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. I was just like, my computer gave up on me totally. I know maybe it was overwhelmed by all the information that we provided. So for the foreign nationals, as I hope that you heard before, I was cancelled here. Is that as your resident permit is tied to a contract, it's important that you really take care of your options afterwards in due time, because as a foreign national who had to deal with your visa and extension, transferring it into the residence permit, you know that the process takes a very long time. So this is super important that you take care of it with enough time before the contract ends. You have to take a look if you will find a different source of funding, and if you have to change your permit according to the new employer, or if you can finance yourself maybe from your savings, or if you maybe have an option to register as your unemployment for the last couple of months, maybe where you want to finish your doctorate, because not all the resident permits allow this. So this is super important that you plan it and inform yourself before in due time. Okay, so you talked about the status of TUM, and the next point would be the networking and different support offers by different parts of TUM. Our colleagues from the TUM library already talked about TUM Forte. It is exactly, you can contact the colleagues there. You can get their information regarding possible future academic career at TUM, maybe if you're interested in continuing your academic career as a postdoc, maybe you can contact them, and also they will inform you about different cooperations between business and research sectors, research funding support, and technology transfer at TUM. There's also another office that you can get acquainted with, the Office of TUM Alumni and Career. They can be helpful for your future. And if you are interested and haven't maybe contacted them already, if you're interested in connecting with doctoral candidates from other fields and also want to participate in university politics, you are always welcome to get in touch with the TUM Graduate Council. They have representatives, so doctoral candidates, representatives at each and every degree awarding institution, so school or the two remaining departments, and they represent the interests of doctoral candidates at TUM in the TUM politics. We would like also to talk a little bit about coaching offers by TUM. There is the Institute of Lifelong Learning, which has different interesting offers for TUM employees. There's also individual coaching for TUM employees. And last but not least, there's also the TUM Office for Equal Opportunities. They offer individual coaching for women, but this is not restricted to employees. All right, that was the last slide. There is just the last information. This event today was the first event halfway there for people who are in almost around the middle of the doctorate. We also will start a series of events before departure, so the doctoral candidates who are shortly at the end. And we saw in the survey today that many of you are in the last semester, last half year before the end of the doctorate. So maybe this is something that you would like to check out. Many information that will be intended specifically for international candidates, but not all of them. So the next event will be online on Wednesday, and following will be also events in presence, online and in presence. Okay, so we gave you a lot of information, and there would be time for your questions now. And as I said at the beginning, if we are not able to answer all of them because due to time restrictions, or even if they are too specific for us, you can always contact people who are indicated on the slides. There were questions where we will upload the slides. We will do this on the website where you registered for this event. I can. As soon as I end the sharing of my screen, I can post it in the chat as well. All right, so okay, no. Oh, okay, I'm not sharing anyway. Okay, so are there questions? Maybe we should have a look. We should have a look at the chat.
So maybe just the most recent question regarding publication of the thesis. We have a question whether electronic publication on Mediatom is enough, or whether we need an additional printed publication. So no, those are two different options you may choose. So it's definitely the easiest one just to go with the offers for publication of directly at QM, and also the cheapest alternative to publish your thesis.
Meg is asking about the link for more information of individual coaching offers. It is really easy to find. I mean, I would have to Google myself as well, but on the website you will have the slides. They will be uploaded today, and you can just use the keywords, and you will be able to find it with the offices that are offering them, like for example, lifelong learning or the Office for Diversity. It's easy to find. Okay, I see that I cannot see because I was thrown out of the chat. I don't see the first the questions in the chat. I'm sorry. I don't see the history of the chat. Will they register for the event before departure? It will be announced in the newsletter.
And also in the Neuigkeiten, in the Aktuelles, there's a section on our website, so you can just stay tuned, and we will announce before departure the latest with our main newsletter. I think there was a question regarding the international program. So yes, the research exchange programs we have, they are only with here, you mean those programs we have special partner universities. So you can only apply for research exchange via the graduate school with the predefined partner university. Otherwise, it would be an individual research day. You must arrange it for yourself, and you can apply for funding from the graduate school, but it won't be part of an official exchange program.
All right. And I mean, if, as we said at the beginning, if there are questions, you will have, you received a lot of information from us, and you will have the slides will be uploaded today later on, so you can have a look through the slides again. And if you have, there are lots of links there, the sources for you to find information, people to contact. If you have specific, we have told a couple of times, if I was talked about you having to contact your graduate centers as well. And because they are really situated at your school and your degree awarding institution, so they have more specific information regarding your specific school. And anyway, you can always contact us later on, and we'll try to either answer the question or guide you. Okay, Ximena is asking about, I just posted the link a bit.
Yeah, I reposted the link.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think we're basically right on time. You have
Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, you have our contact details, and you're of course also free to contact us anytime. Give us a call if you have any questions. So yeah, thank you for participation, your interest. And we'd also like to have some feedback. So if you say, okay, there's a part you like, especially like, then of course you're also free to tell us this via email or via phone. Thank you, and yeah, have a nice evening or afternoon, not evening. So, yeah.
And good luck for the second part of the dissertation, for the final stage, as we called it. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.